Two souls floating in space, in the vastness of space, where silence stretches endlessly and light takes lifetimes to arrive. Two souls drifted, not lost, just unanchored. They had never touched, never spoken, never even seen each other clearly, but they could feel the faint pull of something, a presence, a rhythm, a heartbeat not entirely their own. And that was enough to keep floating. The first soul had been drifting for what felt like forever, wrapped in memories like constellations, each one beautiful, but out of reach. They had loved before, or thought they had, but time and space had a way of unraveling even the brightest threads. Now they drifted gently, slowly, not searching exactly, but open to the ache of what if. What if there was someone else out there? What if being alone wasn't the only way? The second soul had only just begun to float freely. They had broken away from something heavy, a gravity that held but never understood. They didn't know where they were going, only that they couldn't stay where they'd been. So they moved, quietly, slowly, with wounds still glowing and a heart that didn't yet know it was healing. They were thousands of lifetimes apart. But space doesn't measure in miles. It measures in feeling, and across the soft dark, they both paused, just slightly. Something shimmered, not light, not sound, just a shift, a recognition. They didn't collide. There was no explosion of stars, no music, no burning meteor trail announcing their meeting, just a quiet turning. One soul shifted course, the other responded. And slowly, gently, they began to orbit each other. No words, not yet, just nearness. And in space, that's everything. They danced without touching. Close enough to feel, far enough to honor the vastness they came from. It wasn't romance, not yet. It was something deeper. The raw joy of not being alone in the infinite, of floating in sync with someone who chose to drift beside you. Days passed, or centuries. Time meant nothing here. What mattered was this: the silence between them began to hum. Not loud, not demanding, just warm. Like a star pulsing in rhythm with their breath. They began to share pieces of themselves, in glances, in energy, in the space between. The first soul painted galaxies from memory. The second soul wrote stories with stardust. They never asked, "Where have you been?" They only said, "I'm glad you're here now." Eventually they began to speak, not with words, but with presence, with effort, with trust. Each pulse, each pause, each glance across the dark was a sentence. I see you. I felt what you've felt. I didn't know anyone else had survived it, too. And then, without rushing, without forcing, without needing to name it, they touched, not physically, but soul to soul, just a brush, like two lights grazing in the endless night. And in that touch there was no fixing, no saving, just being. Two souls, floating, together, not fused, not lost in each other, but orbiting in harmony, finally seen, finally known, finally not alone. So if you ever feel like you're drifting, if you ever feel like you're too far gone, too untouchable, too silent, remember, somewhere out there, in the quiet dark that wraps around everything, another soul is floating too. And maybe, just maybe, they're already turning gently toward you.